Hi guys, how you doing? It's Dom here. Just had a wonderful chat with my good friends Paul Sargeson and Sarah Shiels from the Goodwin Development Trust, doing some incredible work, bringing creative opportunities and stuff in the music industry to people with neurodivergence, with disabilities here in the city of Hull. Obviously, wonderful musicians in their own right as well. Paul's an incredible sound guy. Sarah has toured the world in various bands. So two incredible representatives of the creative scene in Hull. So thank you so much for watching this. Thank you for supporting this Hull Yes podcast in its early days, and do support Goodwin. Sarah and Paul, thank you so much for watching.
Okay, so we've got another episode of the Hull Yes podcast. I am sat here with Sarah and Paul, who I know really well from the music scene in Hull. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me this morning. We're here to talk about the Goodwin Developmental Trust and your work there, but also to hear about what you love about Hull. We're here to talk about how great Hull is. So first off, for those who don't know, who are you and what do you do, please?
All right, so my name is Paul, and I work with one of my jobs is working with the Goodwin Development Trust, and I run a Create to Change program, which is basically getting 16 to 29-year-olds into the creative industries within Hull. Mm-hmm. That's a paid work placement, and I also help run the music lab session, which is a free session for anybody to come and learn an instrument and be part of an ensemble, learn about live music management or production and technical skills. And we run that in conjunction with the Polar Bear Music Club, which I also am one of the directors for, which is Hull's premier live music venue in the city.
I'm Sarah, and I also, like Paul, work at Goodwin. I run a project called Disability, which specialises in getting people who are 18 to 29 with disabilities, so they could be hidden disabilities or physical disabilities, a long-term health condition or maybe a mental health condition, and getting them into work and kind of supporting them through that process, essentially. Also involved in music lab sessions with Paul, and aside from Goodwin, I do a bit of behind the scenes work at the other premier music venue in Hull, the New Adelphi Club.
Fantastic. That was some great introductions there. And you mentioned that the creative industries and obviously working in the music scene in Hull. For you guys, is there a creative ecosystem? I spoke to Mark Page and he was saying how Hull has really developed over the last sort of 10 years and it has become a place where you can make a living and make money in the creative industries. Now, obviously, both of you have different jobs at Goodwin, but from your experiences, you know, how easy or difficult is it to make a living or make money in the creative industries in Hull?
Well, I think it doesn't actually necessarily matter that it's in Hull, but obviously working within the creative industries is harder than most other industries. Mm-hmm. And Hull, I think, does have the opportunities now better than it did back 20 years ago, but you still got to work really hard to get where you want to be working in Hull within the creative industries. Obviously, I've been a musician and sound engineer for 20 plus years in Hull now, and you've just got to keep trying and keep trying. I'm only where I am now because I've only ever done music and engineering, you know. Mm-hmm. The opportunities are there. Like, we give opportunities out through Create to Change, paid work placements, and also at the Polar Bear, where we take people on and we'll show them the ropes and get them meeting the people they need to meet to get eventually the job that they want to do. I think the only downside to Hull in that respect is it's a very close-knit community. Mm-hmm. So you've got to talk to the right people and be involved with the right people to get the experience and the job that you require. Whereas in a bigger city, the opportunities are greater because there are more opportunities.
I think it's about your expectations and not trying to, I guess, having realistic targets of working within the creative industry as well is, you know, I think it would be naive to think that you couldn't get to a big level without working really, really hard for it. But it's how you incorporate working within the creative industry into a job that you can do, and maybe, like a full-time job. Like, there's elements of it to our job, and although we're not professional working musicians like full-time, we're still incorporating what we love doing and what we're good at into our job. And I think it might be working in a venue, it might be doing musician work, but maybe doing it at weddings or something like that you can do in Hull, but you just maybe gotta just have realistic expectations of what you can achieve.
You've got to offset, haven't you? You've got to offset, you've got to do a bit of this, bit of that, bit of this, bit of that. And it all, you're still working within the music industry or the arts industry within a whole, but you have to be multifaceted within your role.
Yeah, and I mean that's interesting, talking about the multifaceted nature of the Goodwin. Sarah, you talked about working with people with disabilities there. Now, again, that's something that is wonderful that the Goodwin is doing. Is there any anxiety for both of you, actually, for people getting involved in the music scene and for people getting involved in Goodwin? Is there any anxiety for people that come in, and what does that look like for them? And how do you kind of ease that in? So if someone's interested in, say, listening to this and watching this and going, oh, I might give that a try, but there's a little bit of anxiety. Oh, I can't do that. I don't feel like I can do that. What is that like for you guys on the other side of that? And how do you welcome people in?
I think it's about kind of setting these short-term and long-term goals with people right from the start, and kind of measuring them along the way, creating these targets that we can go at, and of course there's going to be barriers to that people may feel, whether that's anxiety, whether that's a physical barrier of the fact that maybe places aren't as inclusive as they hope they were, maybe a scene it isn't, and it's about not just us working with these young people, but also working with employers and working with maybe different venues around Hull, and just kind of breaking down these barriers and looking at ways that we can make an inclusive space for people. And so they come in and they think, actually, yeah, we can do this, and here's how we do it, and we make a plan. And I think that's essentially what our I guess our goal is to achieve here.
Yeah, we see people from all different walks of life, and it has proven with our experience that obviously everybody's different, but we can make allowances. We can help anybody that wants to help, even if they're not quite sure of what they want to do or need to do. You can just come and hang out and learn, and just get your social skills up to scratch, and be more comfortable in situations around people, and then your confidence, and then you can maybe start to look at picking an instrument up, or what we say when we work with like the Polar Bear and the Adelphi, we'll do sessions in those venues, so you get to know those venues before you might go to a gig there or to a night there. So it's just all about building up your confidence and your social skills to a point where you feel comfortable with us and with anybody else that's there. And then you can start to, people can start to open up and think, actually, I'd like to do that. I'm really interested in that. So it can be quite a long process, but we're in it for the long haul, and we'd hope that we can help some people along the way.
Yeah. And before we talk about, again, what you love about being based in Hull, because I know you guys have been, kind of mainstays and figureheads of Hull's music scene. I wanted to ask you about sort of highlights of working at the Goodwin, because again, to give someone a picture of what it's like there, and what it's like with you guys. For you both, have there been any points where you've kind of gone, this is amazing, I'm so glad I'm in this work, so glad I'm in this job? Maybe some people you've helped, maybe situations and instances that you can call back on, both of you, where you're like, this is a wonderful job, and I'm so pleased to be here.
Yeah, well, I think we just did one, didn't we? Me and Sarah went to Bridlington on last Friday to do a music session for Kids, the charity, and
it was awesome, wasn't it?
Really and we drove to Brid with a load of musical instruments, and we went to do a session for people with different severities of disability, some quite severe and some not so much. But we rocked up, met all these wonderful young people.
Yeah, they were brilliant.
And did this session, had some pizza, we chatted, and it was just really, it was a really good kind of heartwarming social.
Like in the car on the way back, we were both buzzing about it. Like we were just like, what a different thing to do with our Friday nights. But but a really lovely one. And then the day before that, we were working with the asylum seekers, and refugees, and we did a session with them. And even a lot of them couldn't, you know, they're in sessions learning how to speak English, but music communicated, and it was brilliant. And watching people pick up instruments they've never even like played, or some of them never seen these instruments before, and just listening to the sound of people going and like, you know, oh, this sounds brilliant, or, you know, talking to us about like back in their country they were from, like similar instruments that they maybe played, and then like just kind of having that experience. And they're like, aside from maybe the performances we put on and stuff, it's just that on a day-to-day basis of actually seeing the impact of the job you're doing and seeing how it is positively developing people's lives. And it's brilliant. Like you can't fault it.
Yeah, I mean, so, like with the ESOL session, some of the people that were there obviously kind of like had generally been running for their lives away from their home country or whatever. And we doing a session with them. Obviously, playing a musical instrument isn't on their priority of list of things to do, but a smile that they get from that day and having a social interaction with some people goes a long way for a positive mental attitude and an outcome. And it's good that we can facilitate that.
Yeah. I think it's amazing the work you guys are doing. And I do want to squeeze one in about you guys just before we do the whole stuff, because you're both very accomplished musicians and you both have worked very, very hard for the whole music scene, you know, over the last sort of, 10, 20 years, certainly as long as I've known you and before that. So I hope you do realize the impact you've had on the scene and how appreciated your skill set is. People love you guys, from my knowledge and sort of the community. So in terms of your music careers and things that you've done in the city of Hull and beyond, can you give me some highlights for you both individually, in terms of working in music, creating, and maybe it's with the Goodwin, maybe it's outside of that, but some career highlights from a musical perspective for both of you, please?
I don't know the way to go.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been a musician in Hull since I was 16. I'm now 36, so it's a long time. I've known you, Dom, probably as long as that, maybe, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
And obviously I've worked with so many people and done so many sessions and obviously recording and performing. I think so my highlight is the work I do with the Sesh now. So I work really closely with Mac and Dan Moyer, on a weekly basis, and the relationship that we have, I have with those guys now is really good and strong, and we are constantly talking about new music and the engineering work I do and the work I do with some of the bands like Pre-Skate and Low Hummer and Fever. It's really nice to see, because you're on their journey almost as well, being part of them. If you're engineering for them, is really good. Oh, actually, one of the really good highlights was I did sound for the Paddingtons at Wembley Arena when they went to play with the Libertines, and that was a really great experience. And to mix in such a iconic and massive place. But yeah, I think the work with the Sesh at the moment is really fulfilling.
Wonderful. Yeah, thanks, man. I was talking to Mac the other day, actually, just about how appreciated you are there, just going back on what I was saying. Pretty cool. Sarah, your thoughts as well? Obviously, I have numerous experience of musicians that love you for your skill set and personality as well. But if you could give me some examples too.
Yeah, I've done stuff for a variety of people over the year, and also try and remember to do things for myself occasionally as well. And I think, although I've done some brilliant things, like I've toured around different countries with various groups of different people, but I think for me, what kind of strikes me about the whole music scene is it's just the relationships I've got out of it. I don't think there's many of the people in my life other than maybe my family and some very old friends, which I haven't gained through Hull's music scene. Some of the best friendships I've formed have been in bands. I've my partner I've met through that. It's like everything that has kind of made my life what it is at the moment has been gained through that, and I think as easy as it is to sit and go, oh, this gig was really good, or this gig was really good, they all kind of seem to blend into one a little bit over the years. I'm sure you'll know that. I look back at pictures now and I'm like, where was that venue I played in? But it's that collective experience and then brilliant relationships and getting to meet people who are who you also learn off. I think it's that constant thing of, oh, they're really good. Oh, I want to. What they're doing, that's interesting. And actually, as you reach a certain age, hearing the same similar sounds come through Hull, and actually them being a bit of a sounding places, and it's interesting, like to be a part of. But it's exciting to see where it'll go as well. Like I think even since in the fairly short time that I've been on the whole music scene, like I think it's been spoke about in podcasts that you've done before this, but the opinion of music from Hull's changing, and that's only a good thing. You can go anywhere in the country and say from Hull, and if you can't guess that by your accent already, then you can proudly say it afterwards.
Yeah, it's certainly certainly become more and more proud since I came back to Hull to be based in the area, because it's a really cool place, and people like yourselves make it awesome. I remember like just showing up at the session the other week, and Paul just comes up and gives me a hug. I felt really loved, and then like obviously I speak to Rivers a lot, and we'll get a cheap plug in for Rivers and how much he loves you, Sarah. So it's great and we've been for many coffees and teas as well. So, and that moves me on, segue to my Hull-based questions. So there's going to be some quick fire ones. Through experience, I have to warn you about these now. So there is, I would like a random Hull fact from one of you or both of you at some point. You don't have to do it yet. I'm pre-warning you. So get your thinking caps on for a random, obscure Hull fact for me. But the first question is, your favourite place to eat in Hull and why?
At the moment, it is Atom. Because it's good, wholesome, cheap food.
Nice. Good stuff. I do like Atom, yeah. Go for it.
I've not been to Atom yet. I've tried, but it's always been really busy. Well, there was one seat, but it was right near the door, and I get real chilly. I think I really like, and it's more of a kind of a bit more casual place, but I love Flower and Feast. Like their sandwiches are just like I've been even like I went to New York recently, and even the food out there wasn't quite as good as there. Like, and I was like, that's their sandwiches are so good.
What a review. Yeah, that's cool. All right. So favorite place to eat, favorite place to drink, favorite place to sort of chill and unwind. We've had a couple of people have said Pave, people have said Social. So give me some examples of favorite place to drink and chill.
I tell you what, my favorite place to chill and have something to drink is probably home on Beverly Road. Great food, lovely people, and it's such a lovely atmosphere.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good shout. That I think my favourite place to go get drunk is probably Polar Bear. As many people watching this will know. But I agree with her. Honestly, that's a really good shout.
Fantastic. And your obscure Hull fact, or it doesn't have to be too obscure, but a fact that people might not know about Hull that you know.
All right, so it's again about the Polar Bear, but the Salt Glazed Bar is one of only 5 in the entire country, and 2 of them are in Hull. The other one is in White Hart, and it's named the Polar Bear because when there was the zoological zoo at the end of the street, they used to walk the polar bear down Springbank for a drink at the docks in the morning.
That's nuts.
Yes, really.
That's a brilliant fact.
That's nuts. Sarah, you got one?
I can only think of maybe a Delphi one, and is that it's one that my partner Carl says a lot. It's when Green Day came to the Adelphi, they slept on the stage.
No way. There you go. I
hope that's true. I'll be blaming it
now.
I've now made it true. I'll have to double check with Jacko later.
I wouldn't have known about that. I wouldn't have known about that. I wouldn't have known about that at all if you hadn't told me. So, all right then. So, before we finish up, obviously, is there a message? We'll do the plugging bit in a minute where you can plug things I've missed. But is there a message for those people of Hull and beyond that have supported both you in your careers and your work in Goodwin, and people that have supported the Goodwin? What would you like to say to those people that have got behind you guys, whether it's been Goodwin related, music related over the years?
Yeah, thanks for supporting Hull and being an advocate for the music and the creative things that come out of Hull, I suppose. Sometimes we get forgotten about, but as a city, but everybody that's here does a really good job and keep doing it.
Absolutely.
I don't really know what to add to that. That's pretty nailed it.
Second in you.
Yeah, just don't forget we're here. And it's nice to go around the country and go to different countries, and actually the more you go, the more people being like, oh, you don't have to sometimes point out York or Leeds or Newcastle. More people know where Hull is now. And I feel like it's maybe the help of definitely the help of people who live there, but also people from outside of Hull that maybe talk about the music or whatever that have started to do a good job for that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you guys for your time today. Is there anything you feel like I've missed before we finish? Anything you want to plug for Goodwin? Anything you want to plug and promote before we finish today?
No, but obviously the only other thing I would suggest is to fire back at you, Dom, and give you a little thank you for your support of the music industry and everything that you do for everybody.
Appreciate it,
love you, man.
Thank you, dude. That's lovely. Well, yeah, we'll put some links to Goodwin and everything in the description and where we put this. So honestly, guys, it's a pleasure to catch up with you, and thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
No worries, man.
Lovely to see you.